Alright, so what we're doing is we're going to cook a eye of round roast, which is a very tough piece of meat. We're going to try for the first time, I keep hearing, of 500 degrees. Turn it down to 475, and we're going to cook that for 21 minutes, and then turn the oven off. But what I'm going to do is take the piece of meat. I probably want to dry that a bit. I'm going to dry the meat off some. Now wash our hands. Now what I've seen are people using salt and pepper, garlic powder, onion powder, what have you. I, on the other hand, am going to use browning sauce, which should give it a nice dark color. I'm going to pour that right on top. You don't need a whole bunch. Now that'll caramelize as the meat cooks. A little bit more. You want to get all of it. Before we flip, we're going to actually add some black pepper though. Black pepper. As you can see, it's very dark. We're still waiting on the oven to preheat to 500 degrees. But as we're doing so, the meat's going to rest a little bit. It came out of the fridge. I probably should have took it out a little bit before to let it get to room temperature, but I didn't do that. Really don't need to pepper the other side because I have enough on top. Okay, now we're just going to wait for the oven to hit 500 degrees. Alright, well, the oven is now at a piping hot 500 degrees. What we're going to do is actually lower the temperature to 475. We actually let it sit at 500 degrees for about 4 minutes, 5 minutes. Wanted to make sure it was nice and hot. We're going to take our roast, stick it in that oven, and now we're going to turn the timer on for 21 minutes. We'll let that cook. At the end of the timer, we'll turn the oven completely off and let the roast sit in the oven for 2.5 hours. Okay, so as you see, our timer has gone off. 475, so now what we're going to do is turn the oven off. It's 4:01 at approximately 6:30. We're going to pull the meat out, and it should be done. Okay, so we've got about 2.5 hours, give or take a few minutes. The timer's turned off. We'll go ahead and pull this out. It's a little cool in there. Well, it's still warm. So, here's our meat. Need a pair of tongs. Go ahead and take this out. I want to get a temperature on it. I want to at least see 145 degrees on this. Current temperature is 80, so let's find out. Yeah, I'm only coming up with about 116 to 120. It's still going up. So what we're going to do here is, in my mind, I want to cook it to a little bit higher. I'm not happy with the temperature. I think the temperature was too low. So I'm actually going to put it up to 375. So I'm going to quick cook it. But not for long because it'll dry it out. It's got to preheat because we've had it off all this time. However, while we're doing this, I want the juice that's in there. It's not hot enough to burn, so and I'm pouring it into a gravy that I'm making. And I'll be honest, I cheated. I used a gravy packet, but that's okay because this will add flavor to it. We'll clean that up before we put it in the oven. And we'll be back to let you know how it turns out. Okay, so what we've done is we've done a temperature test. To our standards, it came out too low. We don't like rare meat. We prefer it cooked a little bit higher. It came out to around 120, 122, which is rare. We prefer it medium rare, maybe a tad to medium. My wife is that way. So what we're going to do, I've turned the oven back on. I've put it to 375. I'm going to tent, well actually cover, not tent, but cover the meat. So I'm going to get a quick steam on it. And we're not going to cook this for very long, maybe 10 minutes or so. We'll figure that out as we go. We'll test the temperature again. I highly recommend a digital quick read. And as you see, the gravy's just boiling, or not boiling, but simmering. And it's just getting thicker as we go. So we'll let you know. We'll come back. Alright, so we've had it in the oven at 375 for about 10 minutes or so. What we're going to do is take a temperature test. See, it's steaming hot, so that's a good sign. Waiting on the temperature to climb up. We're at 115 and climbing. I don't know if you can see that or not. We really want to get to 130 at a minimum. It looks like we're at 122. So what we're going to do is put it back in, because we're not happy with that. And continue to keep it covered. We're trying not to dry it out. We left the oven on at 375. Maybe no more than another 10 minutes. Okay, originally I said I was going to put it in for another 10 minutes, but I think that's too long. I'll really put it in for another 5. I don't want to overcook it, that's for sure. It's a tough piece of meat in the first place. To overcook it is really going to make it even tougher. So we're going to go ahead, take it out of the oven. We're going to uncover it. It's steaming, so that's a good sign, again. We're going to take it, put it on a cutting board. We're just going to let it sit there, and we're going to tin it and let it rest for probably another 5, maybe 10 minutes. And while we're doing so, we'll go ahead and start making our sides, which are going to be some corn and I think some green beans with some gravy, and we'll come back in about 10 minutes. Okay, so what we've done is we've made our sides, which is some buttered corn and some green beans. This is the meat. I'm hoping it's not overcooked / undercooked. I mean, I tried the directions that I saw online, via YouTube, and I'm going to cut it, and we're going to see how we look here. We let it rest for about 6 minutes. And that actually looks pretty good. It's actually maybe a little overcooked. So I put it in at 375 for an added 10 minutes, maybe 12. That looks pretty nice. Let me try a bite here.
I have a question for you. If somebody would prefer to have this done a little less done, what would you suggest? Just omitting that last 5 minutes?
That's exactly what I would suggest. This would also probably be easier to cut with a better knife. I'm using a butter or a bread knife, but
Bagel.
at the bagel knife. But as of right now, it's all I have, so I'll make it work.
That's good.
Taste-wise, muy bien.
Very nice.
Very nice. So, bon appetit. I'll try something new later on and post it. I hope you enjoyed our video, and I hope it was informative.